In Matthew 22, verses 36 through 40, when Jesus was being asked, "Which is the greatest commandment?" here's what he had to say. "Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it, Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets." So then the two principles of Christ is to love God and to love our neighbors, right? These two commandments are the foundation of the entire Bible and of the entire law of God. These two commandments. And this is exactly why God wrote the 10 commandments on 2 tables of stone specifically. Not 1, not 3, 2 tables of stone. There is a specific reason. The first table contains the first 4 commandments, which describes our duty towards God, governed strictly by a religious power. Governed strictly by a religious power. This is a spiritual kingdom. The second table, which contains the last 6 commandments, is our duty towards our neighbors, towards man. And this is governed strictly by the civil power. This is the civil kingdom. So there's the religious kingdom, the spiritual kingdom, and then the civil kingdom. These are the 2 principles of Christ. And these 2 principles were even laid out by Jesus Christ himself. In Mark 12 and verses 14 through 17, a group of people came to talk with Jesus Christ. They asked this question: "Is it lawful to give tribute to Caesar or not? Shall we give or shall we not give?" But he, knowing their hypocrisy, said unto them, "Why tempt ye me? Bring me a penny, that I may see it." And they brought it. And he saith unto them, "Whose is this image and superscription?" And they said unto him, "Caesar's." And Jesus answering said unto them, "Render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's." And they marveled at him. So in the context, Jesus Christ was trying to say that God controls the religious power or the spiritual kingdom, and Caesar, we call him today the government, controls the civil power or the civil kingdom. These are the 2 principles of Christ: church and state and the separation thereof. This lamb-like beast is a Christian nation acknowledging church and state and the separation thereof. Now let's do a recap. There are 5 points, 5 characteristics. Number 1, this beast will be a beast or a superpower. Number 2, it'll come up around late 1700s. Number 3, it'll come up in the Western Hemisphere in the New World and not the Old World. Number 4, it comes up in a sparsely populated area or an area that's not so densely populated. Number 5, it is a Christian nation that acknowledges the 2 principles of Christ: church principles and state principles and the separation thereof. So, what is the only Christian-based superpower that rises up in the late 1700s in a not so densely populated area in the Western Hemisphere who acknowledges church and state and the separation thereof? None other than the United States of America. Number 1, is America a beast or a superpower? It is actually one of the most influential superpowers today. Point number 2, did it come up in the late 1700s? 1776 is the Declaration of Independence. 1783 was the end of the Revolutionary War against Great Britain. 1787, the U.S. Constitution was framed. 1789, the U.S. Constitution was ratified. 1789 to 1797, George Washington served as our first president. So while the papacy was on its way down in the 1700s, late 1700s, the US was quietly establishing its power and dominance. Number 3, did the US come up in the Western Hemisphere? Well, it's no secret that the United States came up in the New World in the Western Hemisphere. Even our currency states that we are established in the New World. It even calls it the New World Order. Number 4, did the US come up in a not so densely populated area? Well, when the US was discovered, this was not a densely populated area. There was tribes here and there, but it wasn't so compact together like it was back then in the Old World, in Rome. And number 5, does the US acknowledge church and state and the separation thereof? Well, we actually have a constitution protecting the separation of church and state. And one of the reasons why our founding fathers came to claim this land was because they were trying to detach themselves from a king that runs both church and state, which is the Pope. This is the reason why we came up as a republic and a Protestant nation. Republicanism is a kingdom without a king. Protestantism is a church without a pope.